have the book The Name Jar by Yangsook Choi, and I'm going to show you exactly how to read this book with your child so that you get the most out of reading comprehension. Themes in this book are self-acceptance, identity, cultural diversity and pride, acceptance and belonging, the significance of names, empathy and kindness. So if you have a little one who does not like their name, which I went through a phase like that, I used to not like my name, this book could be great to read. You can even pair it with like Chrysanthemum, which is also about a kid not liking their name. Okay, question 1, character development. What is Unhei like at the beginning? So at the beginning, her family comes from Korea, and it's very clear that she has a great sense of identity. She has a great sense of pride in her culture. She's very connected with her family. And like that's just clear from the beginning. That's very solid identity, very good cultural pride, connection with her family. And at the beginning, this comes up again. She's given a little name stamp by her grandma. Those are called dojangs, but it's like a signature stamp. Okay, next question, central idea. That little stamp is gonna come up a couple times again in the book, so you might as well know what they're called. Central idea, what problem is Unhei facing? So immediately she gets on the bus to school, and the kids are really terrible to her on the bus. They ask her what her name is. She says her name is Unhei, and they immediately make fun of it in about 5 different ways. So immediately her acceptance is kaput. Her sense of belonging is kaput. And also her sense of identity, which was really strong and great on the other page, is now also kaput. So she's in a bit of a crisis here because all the kids are making fun of her name. But luckily the kids in her class are going to have a bit of a different reaction. Those were the bus kids. Kids in the class are going to be better. Next question, central idea. How does she propose to solve the problem? So she gets off the bus, all of these kids just wrecked her sense of identity and cultural pride. She's in this bit of a identity crisis moment. How does she propose to solve the problem? When she has to introduce herself to the class, she says, I'll tell you my name in a couple weeks. So we're kind of getting to the idea here of people choosing American names. So she's going to give herself time to choose an American name. So she proposes to solve the problem by kind of withdrawing and being like, I'm not going to tell you my name, and also redefining herself. I'm going to think of a new name that you can call me. All right, jumping forward, next question, character development. How does her mom help her? So her mom just reaffirms her that, you are different. Your name is not Wendy or Samantha because you are different. You're a Korean American. So you're different because you are different. Don't wish to be something else. That's just part of your identity. So she reinforces her cultural diversity, her pride, her identity, encourages self-acceptance. So all this kind of goes beyond self-acceptance because you can accept yourself, but then there's also having pride in your identity, having pride in your culture. So her mom encourages that, but Unhei's not totally convinced yet. She's still thinking of an American name. And her classmates actually do something which I think is incredibly sweet for them. I think this was a great reaction, the kids in her class. Character relationships. How do her classmates make things better or worse? So her classmates accept the ambiguity of her situation with empathy and kindness. They're not like, oh, that new weird girl who is learning English doesn't have a name or won't tell us her name. There are so many negative ways that the kids in her class could have reacted, but they make a name jar and they start suggesting names. They start picking their favorite names. Some of them are even silly, like Wednesday, because she arrived on a Wednesday. But her classmates totally respond with empathy and kindness and understanding to the ambiguity of her situation, and they want to contribute in a positive way. Oh, you need a new name? We're gonna suggest 50 names for you. And they actually really include her in a very pretty way, and she feels included and good about all of her classmates are super invested in her kind of reinventing her own identity and picking a new name. All right, this is jumping forward several pages. Character development. What is the turning point for Unhei? Okay, so there's this kid at school who's been particularly nice to her, and she runs into him at the Korean grocery store, and he overhears the store owner call her by her actual name. And the store owner's like, yeah, her name's Unhei. It means grace. Like, names have significance. And he's like, oh, that's your name. So there's that moment, and he actually calls her that. So there's this moment of affirmation, and like one of her peers sees her name, understands that her name has a meaning, and then like has that moment of like, oh, your name's fine. Use your name. And she also gets a letter from her grandma, kind of like solidifying her more like cultural diversity, cultural acceptance, self-identity, identity, pride in your cultural identity. So the letter from her grandma kind of reaffirms that. And then this moment at the grocery store with her peer, her classmate, kind of like solidifies that. But it does get into the significance of names, like your name has a meaning. So don't just don't just pick another one. And also she has a moment here of self-acceptance. She gets some affirmation and has a moment of self-acceptance here. Okay, moving on. The name jar has disappeared. All right, now, what has Unhei learned? Next question, character development. What has Unhei learned by the end? So through her actions here, she actually introduces herself to her class as herself, Unhei, and she so she tells everybody how to pronounce her name. She tells everybody what her name means. And she's also super patient with them learning to pronounce. So she shows a lot of empathy and understanding that like, okay, my name is not going to be easy for everyone to pronounce. So I'm like going to understand that and kindly help them and be patient. Instead of just being like, oh, these idiots can't say my name. So yeah, in the end, she introduces herself, has this big moment of sharing her name, and yeah, everybody's very patient. Okay, is that the last question? Yes, that is the last question. Okay, so that is the name jar, all about self-acceptance and identity, cultural diversity, pride, acceptance and belonging, empathy and kindness, but it's all through this lens of like your name and the importance of your name and accepting your name and sharing your name and how to kind of like respect and honor that in everyone. That is the name jar by Yangsook Choi.